What is going on, everybody, and welcome back. Before we dive in, do me a huge favor and absolutely smash that like button. And of course, subscribe for more explainers just like this one. All right, today we're digging into a seriously provocative claim about President Trump's recent track record. Some folks are calling it his zero wins week. Yeah, you heard me right. Let's get into it.
Okay, let's just rip the Band-Aid off and start with the headline claim. He's losing it. Wow, that is a massively blunt take from national security veteran David Rothkopf, and he's talking about the president. So what on earth is he basing this on? Let's unpack the argument.
It all comes down to this one big round number, zero. Zilch, nada. This is the absolute core of Rothkopf's thesis, that since his return to the presidency, Donald Trump has managed to secure, wait for it, exactly zero significant wins. Not a single one. That's a bold claim. So how does he figure?
All right, part one, the zero wins thesis itself. So this whole idea comes from the analyst David Rothkopf, and he's not just saying things are a little slow. No, he's painting a picture of an entire administration in a downward spiral with apparently nothing to show in the W column. And here it is, straight from the horse's mouth. Rothkopf says Donald Trump right now has precisely zero wins since he has become president again. I mean, it doesn't get much more direct than that, does it? He's arguing there's a complete and total absence of successful outcomes. Okay, but you might be thinking, hey, what about that big beautiful bill he signed? Well, according to Rothkopf, that's actually a perfect example of what he means. He calls it a failed victory. Why? Because he points to the overwhelmingly negative public reaction, suggesting the bill actually became more of a political problem than a win. Now, Rothkopf's analysis goes way beyond just policy. He argues that a whole series of personal challenges, and frankly some pretty weird public moments, suggest that all this pressure is taking a very, very visible toll on the president. And to build his case, he points to what he calls a brutal week for the president. I mean, just look at this list. You've got persistent rumors about his health, he's getting booed at sporting events, he gets a snub on the world stage, and then the assassination of his ally, Charlie Kirk. Rothkopf even said his appearance at a 9/11 memorial had people concerned. But Rothkopf highlights one specific moment that he found especially alarming. After being asked about the death of his ally, the president's response led the analyst to ask this very simple, very direct question. Is anybody home? So here's what happened. Instead of even addressing the assassination of Charlie Kirk, the president reportedly just changed the subject completely to talk about how great his White House ballroom is. According to Rothkopf, it was that really jarring disconnect that he found so incredibly alarming.
Rothkopf uses a really stark comparison to try and describe that moment. Now, he's super clear this is an analogy, okay, not a diagnosis. But he says it was like watching somebody with dementia searching for the right word or phrase. That's an image that's clearly meant to convey a really deep sense of confusion. So from these kind of strange personal moments, Rothkopf zooms back out to the big picture. He connects them to what he sees as major failures in both domestic and foreign policy, arguing that this is way bigger than just one person having a bad week. And this slide kind of lays out that bigger picture Rothkopf is presenting. He points to a whole string of pretty significant setbacks, right? You've got a failed peace summit with Putin, the ongoing crisis in Gaza, and then a really dismal jobs report back at home. The big concern here, according to this analyst, is whether the president has the, and this is his word, the energy to actually pull the administration out of this slump. It's like the combination of personal and political pressures is just becoming overwhelming. And all of this is apparently having a huge impact on the world stage. Rothkopf claims other world leaders just aren't taking the administration seriously anymore. He says they treat Trump and his team the same way you'd humor an older relative who's losing it. Oof, that is a harsh take. So what's the consequence of that lost respect? Well, it's pretty significant. Rothkopf claims that leaders are now basically planning to just go their own way, building alliances with each other and making themselves less and less dependent on the United States. And this brings us to the final and probably the most critical part of Rothkopf's entire argument. Why does any of this matter to you? He lays out a scenario where this perceived decline in U.S. leadership creates what he calls a super dangerous void. And that's a massive risk for everyone. Now, to understand that risk, we need to quickly get this term, Pax Americana. Basically, it's the fancy phrase for the long period of relative global peace and stability that's been more or less maintained by the economic and military leadership of the U.S. since the end of World War II. So, this slide really visualizes the shift Rothkopf is describing. In his view, the world is moving away from that old way, the Pax Americana, and heading straight into a super dangerous void. In other words, a huge power vacuum is opening up on the world stage.
And here's the thing about a void. Someone will always try to fill it. With the US perceived as being in decline, Rothkopf argues that leaders like Russia's Putin and China's Xi Jinping are already starting to test the limits, pushing boundaries to see exactly what they can get away with.
So, when you add up all these failures, combined with an inability to maintain international order, you get this really stark warning. The argument is that the world isn't just in a slump, it's heading toward a really serious tipping point, and beyond that point, things may not be reversible. Which leaves us with this one final and kind of chilling question based on this whole analysis. Is it already too late? I mean, has the world already gone past that tipping point?
So what do you think about all this? Is Rothkopf's analysis on point, identifying a really dangerous trend? Or is this just a totally overblown assessment? I genuinely want to know what you think, so drop your take in the comments below. And if you found this breakdown valuable, you know what to do. Hit that like button, subscribe for more, and thanks for watching.